Hello, YouTube! We're going to get started on Chapter 9 of Guardians of Magic now, because I don't want to get backlogged again, and Shire Folk is still here. Say hi.
Mike Yvonne and YouTube. Well met.
Indeed.
Well met indeed. Disclaimer for this chapter. A dragon ate the paper that said I owned it, so I can't claim that I do.
Okay. So, Chapter 9, Evening Discourse. Let's get started. We must have said that, 50 times before starting this.
Note to all you people out there that want to do readings, if you're doing them with another guy, plan for extra time.
Yeah. We should be able to get all of these done, though. Anyways, moving on. I'm not hungry. Sora looked at his younger sister in confusion as she looked at the food on the plate Spike had just set down for her. Ray was eyeing it squeamishly. All around them were ponies chatting with each other at different sections of the long tables or huddled together at small circular ones in this dining hall. Many of them had excited or worried looks clearly visible on their faces, while several were plainly leaving their determination unmasked. But 10 minutes ago, all you could talk about was how starving you were, he reminded her. I must say, Rarity announced, looking around the entirety of the hall, I've never been in the castle's north wing before. I didn't do much exploring around here, and I was staying here on my shopping trip. What did you say this was again, Twilight? The north wing of Canterlot Castle is home to Celestia's School for Gifted Unicorns, Twilight explained while Spike quickly went around to each pony seated at the table, putting down plates stacked with alfalfa sprouts, hay fries, and apple buttercup lettuce sandwiches in front of every pony, finishing with a small plate of gemstones for himself. As you can see, right now we're in the school's mess hall, used by every pony from fillies to colts, right up to those who have been studying for degrees or are doctorates to become Archmagi.
Oh.
Riku said, glancing around at all of the student unicorns in the hall.
So the School for Gifted Unicorns is basically a magic kindergarten right through university, then?
Essentially, Twilight answered with a nod as Spike placed her plate down in front of her. Thank you, Spike. He smiled and sat down next to her, and gave Pee-wee a bit of charred mouse meat from a bowl of stew. Pee-wee happily chomped on it before hopping down to the meat-filled bowl while Spike grabbed a dazzling garnet in his claw. Pee-wee is undermentioned. Extremely undermentioned.
Pee-wee is undermentioned in fandom. Pee-wee is not mentioned at all in canon. So, Pee-wee appears here. Because Pee-wee exists. When I was writing, Pee-wee showed up while I was writing, and oh, sweet! There's this new character that has just been introduced, and I haven't posted a chapter, and I hadn't posted chapter 2 yet when Dragon Quest came on. So I'm like, oh, I can rewrite this and have a baby phoenix in there, and it's totally canon. Cool.
Yeah. I really hope Pee-wee appears more in Season 3, because he appeared in Dragon Quest and then never again.
At the very end of Dragon Quest. I want to see Pee-wee.
Yeah. Pee-wee's a great character, even if he doesn't appear much.
Pee-wee is going to be Angel Bunny's foil.
Angel Bunny needs a foil.
Angel Bunny needs an ass-kicking.
Yeah. And now, where was I? I actually lost my
garnet in his claw.
Ah, yes. So does that mean that's what you've been studying for all this time? Rainbow Dash asked. I was sure it couldn't be all about friendship like Princess Celestia asked. Oh, where'd they get that for Pee-wee, Spike? Fluttershy interjected. Twilight told me that when finishing their second year of Magic High School, a lot of students choose to get familiars, he answered. So there are usually owls, ravens, and snakes and stuff around. The mess hall started catering to familiars around 70 years ago. I wonder how they got food for their familiars before then.
Beats me.
Actually, now think about it, I probably don't want to know. You plan on becoming an Archmage, Twilight Sparkle? Trixie asked, casually levitating her sandwich to her muzzle. Because I'm stupid like that, I'm probably going to be alternating Archmage and Archmage, even though Archmage is how it is pronounced.
I say Archmage. No, wait, I say Archmage. Archmage.
You're not even sure yourself.
Archmage.
Yeah.
Archmage.
I'm going to try and say Archmage, but sometimes I slip.
Sometimes you'll say Archmage. But
yeah. Eventually, Twilight answered. Right now, I'm in the middle of my Arcanist degree to become a Magus, but I definitely plan on making Archmage someday. Your Arcanist degree? Rarity asked, astounded. Twilight, I admit I had my suspicions, but I didn't realize you were that focused on your studies. How far in did you say you were? Ray continued pushing her food around her plate with her hooves, not enthused at the prospect of eating it. I haven't, actually, and I can't judge my progress with total accuracy, since I haven't been attending any classes or lessons with Princess Celestia since moving to Ponyville, but I'd say that I'm about 3 credits off of my major, 6 away from finishing my minor, and another 9 credits in elective studies away. Plus I've just barely started on my thesis paper. She groaned and levitated her sandwich to eye level, and I just know that lovely piece of work is going to be a pain in my flank. I hear theses, or thesi, or however it's pronounced, are very hard.
For a doctorate, yeah.
Trixie chuckled in amusement across the table from her. How old did you say you were again? Kyrie asked. 19. I need something to drop. There we go. Thank you. Thunk. Twilight giggled as Sora's, Kyrie's, and Riku's jaws all hit the table. Riku slapped his back up to its proper place first.
Damn,
he said, picking up some of his hay fries.
I'm 18 and I practically just started university, and here you are mostly through a degree already, in math labs.
Yeah.
Genius.
Sora half whispered in awe. Twilight blushed at the compliment. Well, magic is my special talent, she admitted, glancing back at her cutie mark, and then at the tiara on her head. It's no wonder that you're one of the Guardians, Sora added. Rarity tapped her chin thoughtfully. You know, I wonder what Princess Luna was doing with that tape measure, Twilight. That's a period, not a comma. Twilight, do you know why the princess would need your measurements? Twilight shrugged. Beats me, she answered. I've never seen Luna so excited since she was in Ponyville for Nightmare Night. Rarity pondered. Perhaps the princess is thinking of getting into fashion. I kind of want to see that now. That might actually be pretty funny. Luna in fashion. Okay. Where was it? She might require my expertise. I simply must find her later and assist her. No pony has made more garments for you, Twilight, than I have. I keep forgetting to do Rarity's voice. Twilight smiled. Well, if Luna really is planning on making dresses for Trixie and me, then I'm sure that she'll appreciate your help, Rarity. Sora glanced at his sister. Ray, you need to eat, he insisted again. I'm not hungry, the Cyan filly replied, pushing her plate away from her. In total contradiction of her words, her stomach gave a loud growl. She stared at it before looking back at her plate. Ray pointed at the sprouts. What are those, anyway? Those are alfalfa sprouts, Sugar Cube, Applejack answered. Come on, they'll make you grow big and strong like your brother. One sec. Alfalfa? Ray gasped. Ew, and those fries are made from hay? Double ew. What's wrong with hay? Applejack asked, the cow pony almost insulted. Nothing, Pinkie Pie answered brightly. But I'd have to agree with her that cupcakes are much better tasting than plain old hay. They would definitely go out for oats any day of the week. Go on and try them, Ray, Kyrie urged. She picked up a hoofful of her own alfalfa sprouts and chomped down on them. Kyrie chewed a couple of times, a sincere smile on her face while she did so, and swallowed. See? They're actually pretty good.
Alfalfa is actually pretty good, because because humans eat alfalfa too sometimes.
We don't have alfalfa in New York City.
You don't have alfalfa in New York?
We have it in New York State.
But it's like a garnish on salads and on some other dishes and everything, so...
Well, you can't find it anywhere up here.
Up?
Well, down. To you, it's down.
To everyone else you would talk to, I would assume you would say up. But I am in Edmonton, Alberta, which is the northernmost major Canadian city.
And I am if I were in Staten Island, I would be the farthest south in New York City that you can be.
Mm.
Of course, why would I want to be on Staten Island?
I have no knowledge about your regional.
I am aware of this.
Yeah.
Staten Island is the most uninhabited borough of New York City. No one really cares for it. They have like one train that goes up and down the island and like 3 bus lines. Whereas New York City, which is the second smallest borough, has, I don't know the exact number, but it's somewhere around, I believe, 30 different trains going through it, and like 70 bus lines.
And then there's Manhattan.
That is Manhattan that I just described.
You just said New York City, which is the second smallest borough.
No, I said Manhattan. I meant to say Manhattan.
Okay.
Yeah, Manhattan is the second smallest borough. Staten Island. Actually, I think Staten Island is bigger in landmass, but Manhattan is the
smaller
second
in population.
Yeah, Staten Island has the smallest in population, and Manhattan has the second largest.
It's Manhattan. It's a little island, but everyone goes to Manhattan.
Yeah. Like, when you think of New York City, you think of Manhattan or Brooklyn, usually.
I think of New York City as a whole. I don't think of I think of Manhattan as a suburb of New York City.
When you think of New York City, most likely the image that jumps into your head is Manhattan.
Well, probably Manhattan Island, yeah, but I wouldn't be able to tell that that's Manhattan. I would think that there's New York City, and then there's Manhattan, which is a suburb of New York City that's really close to it and pretty much a part of it. And I count Brooklyn as another city. It's Brooklyn. I don't count it as
Brooklyn used to be another city.
I don't realize that Brooklyn is actually another suburb or district of New York City. I think that's Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn used to be another city. I don't know the exact reasoning why, but basically the people in charge decided, you know what? Now you're a part of New York City.
We're just gonna annex Brooklyn.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I think it might have been the fact that Brooklyn is surrounded pretty much on all sides by New York City.
Oh.
It's got ocean to its south. I don't know my Long Island geography as well as I probably should. Brooklyn and Queens are both on Long Island. I'm pretty sure Queens is actually the one on the bottom. Brooklyn has the Sound, the Long Island Sound to its north. It has Queens to its south, and the Bronx to its west.
Okay. Anyway, We're getting off topic again from alfalfa.
Really far off topic.
Well,
we went from alfalfa to New York City geography.
Well, you said that you didn't have alfalfa in New York City, and I'm like, how do you not have alfalfa in New York City?
Well,
even though you can't grow it, I'm sure you've got alfalfa in grocery stores and other stuff.
If we do, I've never seen it in Manhattan.
Okay.
And I very rarely travel outside of Manhattan if I travel in New York City.
Mm. Anyway.
Okay. Ray still seemed hesitant, so Sora prodded her further. Go on, eat up, Ray. You'll need to keep your energy up if you want to keep practicing magic. But I don't want to eat this, she said, gesturing towards her plate. Then you won't eat anything, Sora said simply. He took a bite from his sandwich. Oh my, don't you think that's a little extreme? Fluttershy asked. Sora shook his head. If she doesn't want to eat, she's old enough to understand the consequences. His sister looked close to revolting. Sora-ni-chan, she hissed. Sora's own irritation surfaced. Ray, don't make me pull the "I'll tell Mom and Dad you were refusing to try food given to you while we were gone" card again.
Notice how he says again.
I have a feeling that's going to come up later.
Probably will.
Okay. But Oni-chan, this isn't food. This is what food eats. I remember the first time I read that.
Line. But Oni-chan, this isn't food. This is what food eats.
You promised you wouldn't do a Ray voice.
I didn't do a Ray voice. I just did anyone reading that one as a whiny kid. But brother, this isn't food. This is what food eats.
I remember reading that line.
I'm pretty sure I remember that line.
Yeah. I leaned forward and I hit my face against my laptop. Like that line is just beautiful. It's beautiful and yet horrible at the same time. How could you have a little kid say that in front of ponies?
Because she's a little kid who really likes meat.
That's going to come up later, isn't it?
Bacon is going to come up later.
Oh, I love bacon. Who doesn't love bacon?
I don't know, but Rainbow Dash is going to like bacon. Oops. I just spoiled something.
It's people are going to forget. People are going to forget, hopefully. Or I can just write that out.
Yeah, edit that out.
Yeah, I'm not going to edit out that we mentioned editing it out, so people are like, wait, what? Just to add an air of confusion. Okay.
What is that sound in the background?
That is my Skype messaging sound.
Okay, that's the You Got a Letter from Derp. That's the Derpy You Got a Letter. Okay.
Yeah. I like my friends in another conversation are like chatting, and I haven't left the group.
Okay.
I should probably leave that group, but I don't feel like it at the moment.
Whatever. Now that I know what it is, it's not going to drive me insane anymore.
Fact it's happening, though, is probably going to get to me eventually. God damn it, Redo, I know you're watching this. I know you're going to be watching this eventually.
Who's Redo?
A friend of mine. He's one of the people messaging.
Okay, because you were like spamming. God damn it, Redo! On the second last one.
Yeah, that I feel like referring to him directly so that he knows. He knows.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Total silence reigned around the table for 10 seconds. Twilight and Trixie dropped their sandwiches. Spike choked on a gemstone. Rainbow Dash spat out a mouthful of chocolate milk. Fluttershy momentarily appeared mortified. Rarity looked as though she'd just stepped on something that came out of a creature after everything useful had been digested. Pinkie Pie had a simple, huh? Expression on her face, and Applejack just stared at Ray. What in tarnation does she mean by that? Applejack asked, green eyes darting to Sora's. He took a very long time sighing before raising his hand to look at Applejack. She means...
Hey, Twilight Sparkle, haven't seen you here in a while.
Saved by the bell, Sora thought gratefully. Thanks, Poseidon. You're welcome. Shut up, Roxas. You know what? Can you read Roxas so people don't get confused?
Sure, I'll read Roxas.
Okay, thank you. Twilight Sparkle turned her head. Her curiosity refocused on the pony who called her name. The voice felt familiar, but... Oh, yeah, she recognized him. Hi, Scribbler, she greeted cheerfully, waving at the peach-orange unicorn stallion with both lime and forest green in his mane. Behind him stood a blue mare with a black mane containing a robin egg blue highlight running through it. Hey, Ocean Mist, how are things going?
Place is like a hornet's nest right now,
Scribbler answered.
Ever since Moon Dancer and Starshine ran into those shadows last night, the rumor mill has been going wild. And it went totally haywire after Coltinster suspended all classes and assignments to have us digging through the archives trying to find a hint of them in Equestria's history. If even Princess Celestia doesn't know what these things are, then how are we going to figure them out?
I know that we could capture one and study it, Ocean Mist pointed out vehemently in a manner that indicated that it wasn't the first time she had proposed this. If only Professor Haken and gave Morning Ray permission, she, Silvera, and I would be out there already bringing one back in. She screamed in frustration through her teeth, then slowly adopted a smile. Well, that's how it's been here anyway. How have things been with you, Twilight Sparkle? It's been a long time since you've shown your face around here for any length of time. I've been very well, thank you, Twilight answered. She turned to the others at the table. Every pony, I'd like you to meet two of my former classmates, Scribbler and Ocean Mist. How'd I miss the and? Scribbler, Ocean Mist? Ocean Meast. Meast. Meet my friends Rainbow Dash, Rarity, Applejack, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, Sora, Ray, Riku, Kairi. I said Kairi and Riku backwards. Whatever. And Trixie does not need you to introduce her, Twilight Sparkle, the show pony interrupted. Feel honored, students of Celestia's School for Gifted Unicorns, for you stand in the presence of the great and powerful Trixie. Probably going to edit it in there.
That would be good.
I'm going to have such an editing nightmare after this. This is going to be an editing nightmare.
It's going to be a good nightmare.
It's going to be good once it's done, but yeah.
Like programming. Or writing.
I wish I could say I knew that, but when I write anything fiction-related, I never finish it. Because I'm not good at it.
I wasn't good at it when I started. Over 5 years ago.
Yeah, like, the thing is, I'm good at storytelling. I'm horrible at writing dialogue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Off topic. Okay, back on topic. Well, it is off topic because we're not talking about the story itself. It's a related topic, but it's still off topic. Continuing, her horn was bashed in violet light.
Oh, wait, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and suddenly a pair of Roman candles and green sparklers exploded behind her. Like, were they just illusions, or were they actually, like, summoned?
They were actually, I'm still debating as to whether or not they were actually there, or whether they were an illusion, but considering what Ocean Mist says, I think I'm going to go with the fact that they're actually there rather than illusions.
Yeah, because it was stated, I think, 2 chapters ago, 3 maybe, that Trixie is pretty good at summoning magic. Yeah. Scribbler and Ocean Mist seemed more interested than impressed. Hey, an evoker! By the way, that Trixie summoning thing, that's gonna come into play later, isn't it?
I don't recall her actually going on about summoning magic.
Like, she said that she was really good at, like, creating things out of nothing.
Oh, that's conjuration.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, yeah, she's good at conjuration.
Yeah,
so, yeah
that's going to come into play later, isn't it?
That very well could come into play later.
Okay, where was I? Ocean Mist commented, "Nice work there. A little pedestrian, if I may say so, but a very solid effort for a spontaneous casting." Calling Trixie pedestrian. Pedestrian? Trixie asked dramatically. The great and powerful Trixie does not perform such trifles as pedestrian magic. Trixie is destined to be the most talented unicorn in history, and she will not stand to be talked down to by students of this 2-bit school.
Uh-huh.
Scribbler said, an amused smirk playing on his face.
Couldn't get in, huh?
Trixie levitated another hay fry to her lips. No, Trixie gained entry into the school when she was just a little filly. However, she left after completion of Magic Elementary. There were many creative differences between Trixie and her professors. She continued with a mutter, "But who the hay asks a mere fool to hatch a dragon for a test? Hatching it left poor Trixie drained for 3 whole days." "You hatched a dragon?" Ocean Mist asked, eyes wide. "Wow. I thought that Twilight was the only unicorn who'd done it in over 40 years. Trixie smiled smugly back at Ocean Mist. Yes, the great and powerful Trixie did hatch a dragon like Twilight Sparkle did. However, the ordeal left Trixie in magic exhaustion, and it took 3 days sleeping to recover. The examiners and staff determined that while Trixie was fit to enter the school, she was not fit to care for the hatchling like Twilight Sparkle was." Every pony could feel the bitterness in her voice at that. Trixie is not sure what became of the hatchling. I'm actually kind of curious about that now.
I'm kind of curious, too, and I want to see what I do with it.
You're curious about what you're going to do with it.
Yeah, because I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's there. It's an open, like, it's a loose end that that may or may not be tied up. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's something that's there. And it could write itself in, or I could intend to write it in, but it's there. I can use it.
Yeah. I like how you leave so much stuff, like, for yourself to, like, go back to and, like, write into the plot at a later point.
Like originally Trixie didn't hatch it. But then I was like, wait, I can't have Trixie not hatch it, because then, like, why would she be a guardian of magic and be as powerful as magic as Twilight, pretty much, if she can't hatch the dragon? So she has to hatch the dragon, but she can't have the dragon. So let's just say she hatched it, but she used up all of her magic hatching it, so she was unconscious for 3 days, recovering all of her lost magic. And they're like, yeah, you can't take care of it because you weren't around when it was hatched. You were unconscious, or something like that. So something may or may not get resolved about that dragon. I don't know right now. We'll just have to wait and see. Oh, bad luck on that.
Scribbler said, wincing.
My entrance exam was conjuring a top hat and cane for a teddy bear. I was supposed to make tap dance until it changed colors every 5 seconds.
Oh, God. I feel sorry for that guy. Ocean Mist's eyes widened. You had to perform a trick as simple as that? She began to grumble under her breath. Why couldn't I have gotten the nice examiners? I was told to hold an anvil directly above my head for a half hour. Oh, God. Damn. Ouch.
Here are your tests. You, hatch a dragon. You, hold this and levitate this anvil above your head and hold it there for a half an hour. You, make sure that this teddy bear tap dance and make it change colors every 5 seconds while tap dancing. And while you're at it, give it a top hat and a cane. Go.
I have to say that, like, I want to kind of see an animation of that now.
I don't think I have enough people, like, reading / watching, listening to this that have the talent to do that.
I have sources. It just depends on whether or not they would care. Yeah. Ray, you still aren't eating, Sora prodded while the unicorns prattled. I told you, Oni-chan, I'm not hungry. Ray, eat. But Oni, that's Master Sora, Ray. Ray stared at her brother, looking as though she'd just been slapped in the face. Yeah, that might be an understatement. She dutifully turned her attention to the plate in front of her and sighed slowly. Yes, Hoshisho-sensei, she mumbled. Twilight could see that Scribbler and Ocean Mist were giving her friends odd looks, and even the rest of her friends were looking oddly at Sora and Ray, while Kairi and Riku both appeared to be acting as if nothing were happening. So, how are classes going? Twilight asked quickly to draw attention away from Sora and his sister. Is Professor Hoofer still at Oh God, Professor Hoofer. I remember him.
Professor Hoofer is like his name's a play on Sheldon Cooper.
Oh yes. Oh God. Yeah, that is
Dr.
actually
Cooper.
my like people in my school actually call me Sheldon.
But yeah, Professor Hoofer's name is just a play off of Dr. Sheldon Cooper, so...
Yeah, people in my school call me Sheldon because I'm the only kid in the school who is capable of correcting the teachers.
I did that.
I do that on a regular basis.
I did that.
Scribbler barked a laugh.
You don't know the half of it. He's come up with an invention that he wants to put in the Cloudsdale Weather Factory to replace the current method of rainbow making.
Rainbow Dash nearly choked on her sandwich. Pounding her chest a couple of times, she gasped out, "He wants to do what?" Hoofer's always been a nutcase, Twilight explained in a nutshell. So, what's this device of his? Scribbler and Ocean Mist glanced furtively around the room. Their faces lost some of their color as the blood drained from them both. Both unicorns looked a little nauseated.
Well,
this is
still Scribbler. Well, he sort of wants to take every pony who can't physically pass Pegasus Flight School, and his device, it's supposed to suck out the color of their coats, and it doesn't sound very pretty. You don't want to know.
I'm glad that you referenced Rainbow Factory instead of Cupcakes. Of the two, really famous, grimdark, gorefic type things.
Okay, Rainbow Factory can be referenced. Cupcakes cannot be referenced because it's Pinkie Pie. Rainbow Factory, you can take out the fact that Rainbow Dash is there and whatnot. You can reference it. You can be like, oh yeah, there's this story and other stuff, or someone wants to do this device, but you can't reference Cupcakes without acknowledging that Cupcakes exists.
What you could have done with that, I feel, is you said that you could have said that he theorizes that possibly using pony meat in cupcakes would improve the flavor.
No pony would ever do that, though. He's like, yeah, we're going to cannibalize. He's like, theorize cannibalizing other ponies makes cupcakes taste better. No professor's going to theorize that. It's like, his device, Hoofer, right now at the moment, may not believe that his device would actually kill the pony. It would just remove the pigmentation from their coat. He doesn't think that it's going to kill them, but every pony else is like, this might be very dangerous and crazy.
Yeah. You have made your point. He might not necessarily think it's going to kill them.
Anyway.
Yeah. No pony's going to agree to it, though, Ocean Mist quickly assured them. All the teachers agree that it's insane. Coltonster practically blew him halfway across campus when he found out. And you can bet that the princesses won't allow it for sure. She cocked her head to the side, eyes widening in interest as she tried to change the subject. Nice crown thingy, Twilight. Is that the element of magic? Scribbler interrupted before Twilight could even answer.
Shoot! Come on, Mist. Looks like Electroshock wants us. It was nice seeing you again, Twilight.
Same here, Ocean Mist agreed as Scribbler quickly left the group. Good luck on your degree, and whatever you're doing with that element of yours. Rarity blinked as the two ponies bolted away. Well, that was rather unexpected. Twilight, are the students at this school always so... jumpy? Applejack supplied. Twilight shrugged casually. Every pony around here gets that way around exam time or when something major is going on. The Heartless appearing is definitely something major, Fluttershy said. Major, Pinkie Pie asked. How about super-duper monumentally huge? We're talking about creepy things that steal hearts, not silly little things like papers and tests. Yeah, papers and tests. Plural. Riku calmly watched everything while he ate from his plate, snorting as Twilight looked like she was about to say something very scathing, but was visibly restraining from letting it loose. She smiled at Ray and shook his head when she spent had to happen eventually.
Riku's gender.
I failed so utterly. I failed so utterly right there.
So well.
I was, and then I decided to move to pretty much the opposite end of the room and read from there. I'm going to get closer to my screen now. Okay, there we go. Riku calmly watched everything while he ate from his plate, snorting as Twilight looked like she was about to say something very scathing, but was visibly restraining from letting it loose. He smiled at Ray and shook his head when she sent a hopeful glance his way. A polite way of telling her that he wouldn't assist her in cleaning her plate of greens. Kairi was sighing idly while munching on her sandwich. I fused sighing and idly. No.
Kairi was sighing while idly munching on her sandwich.
Yes. And Riku noticed that both she and Sora were being quieter than they usually were. In fact, he didn't even know if he felt like talking much either. Quiet, Riku, said Fluttershy. Riku's head snapped towards the butter-yellow Pegasus, the sound of his name tugging at instinct and demanding that he pay attention. Fluttershy recoiled a few centimeters, but stared at him expectantly. It took Riku a second to realize that she was waiting for him to answer something.
Oh, sorry, Fluttershy. What was that?
I just said that you and your friends have been awfully quiet recently, considering... She answered timidly. Is there something on your mind you'd like to talk about? If that's okay with you, I mean, if you don't want to talk, that's fine too. He almost chuckled. Almost. Instead, he sighed. I have a feeling this is going to be a little bump, or it's going to get progressively worse.
Oh, well.
Wait, just a little bump.
I think we just have a lot on our minds right now.
Yeah. We spent an hour.
No, I was saying his line.
I hit my phone against my head because I had that in my head at the moment. Now my forehead hurts. Oh well.
I think we just have a lot on our minds right now,
he said. Riku glanced down at his plates.
In fact, I think we're still in a state of shock over what happened this morning. It's not like us to be caught off guard like that and thrown headfirst into a strange world anymore.
He placed a hoof to his head. I think I really just went... Oh, right.
I think I really just want to go to bed and clear my head over a night's sleep.
That's all right, Applejack told him, nodding her head in understanding. We're all going to need our rest for tomorrow. Can't go gallivanting across Equestria with no sleep now, can we, girls? Six mares nodded and their evening meal continued. Books, scrolls, and the assorted detritus of papers that accumulated... Detritus, got it. Of papers that had accumulated within Coltonster's tower office, which also served as his personal library and living quarters, were being covered in auras of golden light and levitated before the head pony of Celestia's school for gifted unicorns, before being tossed aside again with a casual jerk of his head. That was a long sentence.
No, not that one. Not this scroll either.
He snorted impatiently and looked at another scroll that he was levitating in his horn's glow. Coltonster recoiled in shock.
Mother Mistra, why did I even keep this essay on record? Nothing Greenhorn ever wrote was worth more than a quick trip to a blazing hearth.
He quickly rolled the scroll back up and cast it into the fire. A small explosion came from the fireplace a second later, causing Coltonster to turn to peer at it for a moment before shrugging.
He must have enchanted his writing so that it would burst aflame if some pony tried to change it. He always was too cautious about nothing. That transmutation thesis spell of his using Palfrey arrays was complete drivel. One good polymorph spell and it's done with.
He returned to the mountain of paperwork he was trying to sort through, paused, and frowned. Coltonster began to run a huff through his beard.
Then again, very few unicorns in equestrian history have been able to successfully perform a spell even remotely similar to a polymorph.
He glanced back at the fireplace and shrugged nonchalantly.
Now, where did I put those papers of hers? She's Celestia's personal student, so they should be in the shelf where I placed the assignments of Celestia's last 5 pupils. Now why is Radiant Star's work mixed in with Twinkling Twilights?
He groaned exasperatedly.
Where is Leo when I need him? Gods, I miss that man. He always knew where every last tome was. Ah, here's her work.
I'm going to guess that is a D&D reference.
Yes, that is a Elminster reference to Forgotten Realms.
Okay. Brightening up considerably, Coltonster let the mass amount of other material he was levitating drop to the floor and trotted over to his desk, a considerable pile of papers and scrolls still following behind him. He paused for a second as a sudden thought struck him. The Kyrie seemed quite distressed when she discovered that she couldn't use magic. Considering her hair and probable stature, as well as what he'd gleaned of her personality, she somewhat reminded him of, I'm not sure how to pronounce this,
Gestile.
Gestile. Or maybe a little more of that mischievous Penne. I'm going to guess that's
how you pronounce Penne.
Yeah, just, I want to make sure that it was, like, not some crazy pronunciation on the E or something. Both of them were firebrands when you got under their skin. Coltonster sighed. A pity that there was that incident with the were-tiger. None of the knights were quite the same after losing the rogue to it. I am really glad that you explained to me that Coltonster was a D&D reference, because otherwise I would not have gotten
Otherwise
this.
you would be totally lost and confused as to who the fuck this pony is.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure that a lot of people watching would have been confused also.
Yeah, but then there were also the people that were reading, and then when we finally got to the chapter, what was it, not Magic Rules, but Murphy's Law, and he was talking with Coltonster, and then he's just like, I haven't seen one of you since the fall of Mithranor. People went like, boom! Okay, this isn't just like a pony pun reference to Elminster. This is fucking Elminster himself.
The thing is, it depends on if people actually got.
Yeah, if people got the reference, which a lot of people who played D&D or know about Forgotten Realms D&D lore do, like, because I've seen so many ponies play D&D stuff on here, it's like insane. A lot of people recognized it as well, so it was like, yeah.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this before, but I have a friend who is actually participating in a forum pony D&D.
Yeah, you were talking about that. Anyway.
Okay. A soft rapping at the door interrupted his musing.
Enter.
A dainty unicorn mare with a light blue coat and two-toned silver mane that nearly bordered on white in one instance came in cautiously. Sorry to disturb you, Coltonster, she began, her eyes apparently intensely interested in the quill on his desk. But a mare of a noble house, I think her name was Upper Crust, has been going on about the halls of the school and is now within the school, loudly demanding that she be allowed to search every pony's quarters for a silver, diamond-studded sapphire pendant. Coltonster's eyes sparked with a sudden gleam of mirth. Even though his answering voice was stern.
And you thought it best for this trifle to come to my door, did you, Blizzard?
He asked. His horn began to be enveloped in a golden nimbus. He clearly had signs posted outside his door that trespassers or belligerent ponies that needlessly interrupted him would be polymorphed. Blizzard took a step back, aghast. Of course not. I just felt that you should be notified is all. What would you like us to do with her?
Shoo her away!
Coltonster insisted.
Urgently! She's not searching the rooms of every pony in the dorms all because she couldn't hold on to some jewelry. She likely has many similar pieces in her collection anyway. That is all. And if she still objects, she can see me speak with one of Princess Celestia's other courtiers, or speak to Princess Celestia Orluna herself.
Blizzard and the doors became enveloped in the same nimbus flowing out around Coltonster's horn, and the young unicorn suddenly found herself being levitated outside the doors shut in front of her. Coltonster laughed bodily once they had been closed. He'd been itching to have some pony stick it to Upper Crust for a while now. She and her husband were far too uptight, flaunting their money for every pony to see, even though this event may just dig that stick even further into their cushy rumps.
Definitely, Penne.
He chortled before returning to the looks of scroll he'd gathered.
Now, we shall see what Miss Twilight Sparkle was planning on doing with her life before this mess started.
Hoofsteps echoed around Rarity as she slowly made her way through a passage in Canterlot Castle. Most of the others had settled into private suites that Princess Celestia kindly allowed them to stay in for the night, while Twilight and Spike went back to the unicorn's personal tower. It left Rarity in a state of shock for a few moments the previous month when she discovered this in idle conversation with the unicorn. Not only was Twilight, as Princess Celestia's protege, granted quite a substantial stipend that paid for her schooling, daily expenses, and funded the books and branches library in Ponyville, but she also had her own personal tower. When Rarity considered what she'd learned today, it certainly appeared as though Twilight Sparkle and her family were set to become very important ponies to Equestria's future. "Oh, my stars," Rarity whispered as a thought occurred to her. "Archmage Twilight Sparkle, sister-in-law to a princess of Equestria, the element of magic, the personal student of Princess Celestia herself? That's what she'll be one day, and maybe she'll even earn the position of Grand Archmage. She is definitely talented enough for it. Furthermore, being a guardian of magic like Sora says is sure to guarantee it, and I'm one of her best friends." She giggled excitedly to herself. Rarity had never considered before just how high up Twilight studies could take her. And being the friend of such an important pony could open up doors to very wealthy and influential ponies. Twilight Sparkle aiming so high and succeeding may very well make her business far more lucrative in the future. You write all of the characters so well you would think that Lauren Faust herself wrote them.
No, you would think that I work for Hasbro. Except, I recall at the Comic-Con panel when somebody asked when somebody asked Megan McCarthy if she reads any of the fan fiction, she said that she looks at Equestria Daily and everything, and then she sees the fanfic, and she's like, "Oh, that's a really good idea. Can't read it. I can't read any of them." None of the episode writers are apparently, just from what I gathered from that, allowed to read Friendship is Magic fan fiction, because even though they would get some awesome ideas, or they would be introduced to some amazing writers that don't make any money from what they do. And even though they would probably like to hire them, they can't read anything that's pertaining to Friendship is Magic that they haven't themselves written and produced, because Hasbro says no, I guess.
I would like to know the reasoning behind that, but there probably isn't any.
If we went to a panel, if I went to a panel where Megan McCarthy was, or I could just ask her on Twitter, why don't you guys, because I follow her on Twitter, it's like, why can't you read Friendship is Magic fanfiction?
Now I hope she's at the next BronyCon.
She probably
will. Because I am putting funding towards attending every BronyCon that will ever exist ever.
It would probably take me a while to get the funds to get a plane ticket to New York or to New Jersey so that I could go, because I'm in Edmonton.
Yeah, you're at the northern end of Canada, or not the northern end of Canada, the northern end of Ontario.
No,
which is still...
It's somewhat, yeah, but I'm all the way off in Alberta, in the prairies.
Yeah, Alberta, right. For some reason I thought you said Ontario before.
No, I'm in Edmonton. It's way off in Alberta.
Yeah, and BronyCon is right next to the base of New York City. Used to be in New York City.
Yeah.
But they started getting
too
many people.
That's why it was BronyCon with a capital NY, because it's for New York. And that's no, New York's too small now. Now we're in Syracuse, New Jersey. That's a hop, skip, and a jump. That's a hop.
Yeah.
That's a skip. That's a hop.
Yeah, I don't... the way you describe that sounds so much the opposite of how the rest of
New York feels about it.
States. Yeah, New York's too small. Move to Syracuse. Syracuse is I don't think they're even a tenth our size.
Yeah, well, whatever. The convention hall or whatever was too small or something. The other venue was too small. It's or the bigger one that they would have needed was too expensive. Let's go to New Jersey. That's 2 steps away.
Yeah, it takes me.
It takes me people when I'm but isn't that right there?
It is, though. It is. It takes literally 15 minutes longer to get there. Like, you just, like, you hop down to the Port Authority and you take a bus across the river. And you're pretty much right there.
You could walk there.
And that's pushing it. That is very much so pushing it.
15-minute bus ride? You can walk there.
The issue is the bus goes along a highway.
Oh, okay. 15-minute bus ride at 100 kilometers an hour. Okay, gotcha. Or at least 80.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay, Rarity ceased her giggles.
Yeah. Rarity ceased her giggles and composed herself while she strode down the deserted passageway. Now, Rarity, calm yourself, she instructed. While Twilight's studies in magic may very well make her a very important pony to Equestria in the future and open up numerous potential contracts, you did not make her your friend just so you could abuse her connections. Twilight Sparkle is Twilight Sparkle, a kind, thoughtful, and generous pony who is highly talented in magic, studious to a fault, slightly irrational and unsure of herself, but she's noble, forgiving, and understanding. She's the best friend a pony could ask for, and you will not take advantage of her friendship without her consent. However, it could not hurt her rising star if it came to light that you assisted Princess Luna in designing a fabulous gown for her. Trying to stifle her squeal, Rarity picked up the pace a little. I remember reading this, and I was like, my mind was like working so hard to figure, how is Rarity going to react to this? How is Rarity going to react to what Luna is really doing?
Keep reading and you'll find out. Dun, dun, dun.
I remember. And one of my other fanfic writer friends just messaged me on Steam. As she continued down the corridor, Rarity felt a little bit of unease creeping into her, like a tingle on the nape of her neck. She hadn't seen a single soul since retracing her steps to the infirmary and casting a simple spell to track magic. Twilight probably could have cast it better, but Rarity was competent enough to discern which one of the signatures present had been the princess's and to follow it. After all, it had been one of the most powerful auras present when she levitated her tape measure. Doing just that had brought her here. The white marble that Rarity had started in had slowly changed into a different stone. She assumed from the dimmer torchlight that was now illuminating the area, instead of the electric lamps in the castle proper, there was likely some form of granodiorite there.
Granodiorite.
Yeah. I got the basic pronunciation down, though.
Yeah. It's a derivative of granite, but I looked it up, and it's actually more of the granite gray color than what granite itself is.
The corridor had widened extensively. A weighty feeling came onto her while she glanced up at the ceiling. It no longer felt as though she were simply in the castle. It almost felt as if the passageway she was now striding in was within Mount Ponylawn, and she got the impression that she was on a subtle decline. Another 50 paces and Rarity was certain. She was on a path heading deeper into the mountain and towards the bowels of the earth. Her breathing became heavy and labored as the air suddenly felt more compact and dense. The wide corridor began to feel stiflingly hot, and the high ceiling either fragile with the threat to cave in on her or too low. Rarity stopped. She closed her eyes and went through a quick breathing exercise to steady herself. She was being nervous about nothing. There. Princess Luna had gone this way, and if the princess had truly believed this way to be unsafe, then she likely would not have taken it. Besides, no pony had made quite as many pieces of clothing for Twilight as she had. Therefore, it would be in the best interests of both Princess Luna and Twilight Sparkle for her to be present and offer her input. Remember, Rarity, this is for Twilight and the princess, she said to herself, slowly beginning to walk again with now open eyes. Come on now. It's just a little corridor in the depths of a mountain beneath 1,000 tons of rock. This passage must have existed for centuries, and nothing bad appears to have happened to it. Oh, look! Thanks, Celestia, an exit. Her gait quickened into a canter at the sight of heavy oak doors down the passage. She was still cantering towards them 2 minutes later, the doors now appearing substantially larger than when she'd first spotted them. At this point, she was able to make out a design that had been placed over them. A hammer and anvil were encased within a mountain, with a dozen earth ponies wearing aprons surrounding the base of the mountain. A pair of very regal-looking alicorns flanked the anvil. What? Bah! Da! With one holding a shield aloft in one hoof, and the other carrying a sword. All of it was traced in silver lines that shone with pale light. By the time Rarity finally did reach them, the massive oak doors towered above her head like a hydra dominating a field mouse.
That's right, big.
Yeah. Each of the small earth ponies she'd seen were 3 times her own size.
Very big doors.
Yes, yeah. How in Equestria am I going to open these doors? Rarity asked herself in both amazement and dismay. The trail of Princess Luna's magic does go right through them. Suddenly, as if acting to Rarity's thoughts, a much smaller door that was big enough for 3 ponies to walk abreast opened up. The white unicorn took a step back in surprise. The vastly smaller door had been fitted seamlessly into the other. Not even her discerning eye could tell they had been there. Yeah, I like that little
Disney castle.
Yeah, I remember that.
Where's the audience chamber? How the heck are we supposed to? Oh,
yeah,
just a regular-sized door opens up inside of the.
I remember that. I laughed at that. I laughed very much so at that. Yes, you have these giant foreboding doors. Oh, yes, foreboding might be the right word. Sounds like they're kind of like threatening in some way. Which
not totally. I don't. Well, they're not foreboding. They're imposing.
Yeah, imposing. That's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just like there's this little door fitted into the much larger door.
It's like, oh my, there's got to be like some sort of giant that lives past these doors. What am I going to?
Nope,
oh.
Mouse.
Okay. All right then. And now the shock of the giant doors has just blown my mind. Okay, let's go inside. Someone has a lot of money.
Yeah. You know what? If for any reason I ever become rich, I'm going to get a giant door. I'm going to get a mansion, and then I'm going to get a giant door, and then I'm going to have a smaller door fitted into the giant door.
Like someone has a lot of money, is tooting their own horn, or is compensating for something.
Yeah. Well, Mickey is pretty small in stature.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue. Intense dry heat billowed out of the opening, and Rarity felt herself struggling with her desire to enter. A dragon had to be in there, breathing fire just out of her sight, and yet the doors are not on fire. She heard no roaring, but the heat was definitely comparable to that which the teenage dragon that had burned the eyelashes of her fabulous dragon costume had produced. I remember that. Crackle is best dragon.
Spike's best dragon. Crackle's second best dragon.
Yeah, you have a point. Crackle's hilarious.
Crackle only showed up for 2 seconds. Who is that guy? I think he's Crackle's cousin. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Oh, that explains it.
Yeah.
Just one of those quick gags.
Yeah.
How everything is just explained away. It's like, hand wave. I think he's Crackle's cousin. Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to insert Crackle here. Suddenly, she wasn't sure that she wanted to continue onwards. You may enter, Rarity. And now the option to leave quietly had been abruptly denied to her. Slowly walking in after Princess Luna's voice, Rarity closed her eyes as her entire bag was insulted by the heat inside. There came a gasp from across the room, and the white unicorn heard the sound of a levitation spell being enacted. A weighty strap fell against her neck, followed by the press of cloth against her chest and across her barrel. Straps were magically tied over her back, tightening the object. and suddenly the oppressive heat from the room was gone. "Our apologies, Rarity," Princess Luna's voice spoke again. "We had forgotten that most ponies are not accustomed to this heat. Many never do become accustomed to it, even after many ventures into this place. You may open your eyes again." Rarity did as the princess bid, and suddenly the reason for the intense heat became clear. She found herself within a great cavern inside of Mount Ponylawn, and cascading down from the walls... She found herself within a great cavern inside of Mount Ponylawn, and cascading down the walls into a slowly flowing pool beneath her hooves were several magma falls. The stone of the immediate area was a drastic shift from the slower cooling rock that composed the majority of the tunnel behind her. All around Rarity, the walls and floor of the cavern were basalt. Natural-looking walkways of the black stone were throughout the cavern, transversing and circling the great pool of magma beneath. Tunnels of it hid behind red veils of the magma falls, and bored into passageways and large open areas surrounding the molten rock. "Where are we?" Rarity asked, unable to draw her eyes away from the magnitude of the place in which she stood. "You are standing within the hearth of the mountain," Princess Luna answered. The faint clip-clop of her hooves against the stone turned Rarity's head so that she could look at the lunar diarch, and Rarity couldn't help but recoil slightly in surprise. The princess wore not her crown, nor her petrol, nor even her glaring diamond shoes. Across Luna's chest was a black smock, one that Rarity could tell had seen many years of use, with its frayed edges and clear burn marks smattered around the garment. Her magically flowing midnight blue mane was restrained, forced into a bun at the back of her head. "Hearth of the mountain?" Rarity asked, glancing down at herself for a moment before her eyes returned to the princess. As she suspected, she too was in a smock, though hers was a plum purple. And that makes it clear that Luna was expecting her.
Yup.
Princess Luna nodded. Her horn glowed with a cobalt blue light, and the door through which Rarity had entered swung closed with a resounding whoomp. I'm probably going to make a recording of my door closing and put it in there. Just because I can.
Because I can. For the lulz.
Exactly. Yes. The princess turned away and began speaking, forcing Rarity to follow if she wished to hear. "The hearth of the mountain is a forge we used in days that seem ancient to you and your kin, Rarity. We were the greatest smithy in all of Equestria, and only the finest smiths of pony, griffin, and even dragon kind were permitted access to this place, our forge, to work alongside us and use the molten fires from the world's mantle and the myriad of metals found within to craft their works." "A forge?" Rarity asked, pausing while they walked under a magma fall to admire the glow coming off of the superheated liquid rock. Luna began to speak again, and Rarity hurried to catch up. "Yes, Rarity, this place is a forge, the greatest in all of Equestria, nay, in the whole world." "How come I've never heard of it?" she asked. "A place like this, with a passage leading to it from within Canterlot Castle. Shouldn't every pony know of its existence?" "Nay," Luna answered simply but sharply. "This is our forge, Rarity, and I kept its existence secret. Only myths of this place and the work of its smiths left it. Further, when my jealousy over Celestia and the joy our subjects showed, while they relished in her day and shunned my night, allowed my heart to be overtaken by the nightmare, Celestia locked fast my forge and hid the entrance from the eyes of normal ponies." The princess's voice rose in excitement. "But now, our forge has been returned to us. We can return to our work table, anvil, and hammer. The bellows will blow, the winds will howl as the air is vented out to the mountainside. The molten fires of the earth will boil and bring forth its precious metals. They will heat our work so that mithril will bend, adamantine will yield, and even obstinate obdurian will obey." Yes! I just get so excited when Luna's excited.
In my head, the line goes like, "They will heat our work so that mithril will bend, adamantine will yield, and even obstinate obdurium will obey."
I might edit it so that you are the one reading that line.
obstinate Abdurium will obey!
That sounds amazing when you say it.
Obey!
No, the whole thing.
I know. Obey.
But you just like saying obey like that.
Mahogany.
You know, I've already got a lot of editing on my plate so far. I'm not gonna make
You're not
like cut it. Yeah, I'm not gonna cut it out. Like cut out the part I read. Okay. Rarity nearly gasped at the fiendishly enthusiastic tone that Princess Luna's voice expounded.
Obey.
The alicorn slipping into the traditional royal canterlot voice mid-sentence. Princess Luna had picked up into a canter, and Rarity hastened to catch up, even though she was now unsure if it was safe to continue following the princess. But, Your Highness, why did you then take Twilight and Trixie's measurements? Luna stopped and turned around, looking at Rarity in confusion. Why did I take their measurements? She asked slowly. Why, yes, Rarity asked. Your forge is very nice, and forgive me if I believe that blacksmithing sounds a bit garish for one of your royal stature, Princess, but I simply cannot believe that you wish to design gowns for my friend here. Princess Luna stared at Rarity, and the unicorn suddenly felt as though she were missing something very important. What in the name of Celestia could Princess Luna be doing here in a great forge when she should be designing a regal-looking gown for Twilight? She spotted a ponykin here and there, but they were very out of place in this volcanic rock-filled cavern. Then again, the inside of this forge and the lake of magma beneath her were starting to fill Rarity's head with inspiration. Yes, a fire-themed ensemble of brilliant reds, dashing oranges, charcoal black and incendiary white. Ooh, what a statement it'd make for any stallion to make... what a statement it would make to any stallion for a headstrong, confident mare to walk into the room garbed in the loud dress, wearing a sultry little smirk. A strangled gasp, followed by a chuckle, forced Rarity's thoughts back to the present. You thought I was to be designing a dress for Twilight Sparkle? Rarity found herself rocking back on her hooves as she started to reply. Well, yes. It hasn't been all that long since you returned to Equestria. I thought that since you took Twilight's measurements and everything, and with a possible desire to acquaint yourself with the Equestria of today, that you'd be interested in making a fabulous gown for her to wear at the next Grand Galloping Gala. Or you would want for her to make a statement that ponies of other worlds would be crass to ignore when meeting her. The Princess of the Night silenced Rarity before she could start rambling further with a second chuckle. Well, we certainly shall be making something for her, and for Trixie Lulamoon, that will make a statement. Rarity and your assistance in helping us design their garments will be most welcome. Stars shone in Rarity's eyes. Really? You want my help, Your Highness? Please, Rarity, call me, Luna. Very well, then, Luna, Rarity said unsurely. Luna, she said again, trying the sound of the name and finding that she liked it as much as the smile the princess was giving her. What will we be making, then, if not gowns? Luna's smile threatened to crack the very walls of the cavern with its intensity. We shall be designing and forging armor for Twilight Sparkle and Trixie Lulamoon. Armor the likes of which has not been seen in Equestria in eons. Only the very finest of metals shall suffice, shaped, formed, and bonded together by our will. Your friend will be able to buy all of Ponyville and the surrounding farmland thrice over with just the helmet alone when we are finished. Really? Rarity gasped. Armor? And you want me to assist in designing it? Are you sure that it's necessary for Twilight to be given such a present? It will be necessary, Luna answered. Twilight Sparkle is strong in magic, and she has the potential to become far greater than she is now. Being a keeper of the art, or guardian of magic as I have heard it is called recently, only reveals the magnitude of that potential. Further, she is also my sister's pupil, and Celestia worries for her constantly. She will not permit Twilight Sparkle to travel to other worlds, even with such good company as Sora and his friends appear to be, without some form of protection. Beyond that, the closeness between us and Twilight Sparkle has marked her as a target for those who choose to be enemies of Equestria. It is not an uncommon tactic. The quest of Sora's will likely give Twilight Sparkle much experience in combat, and those who would target her upon her return would think twice when seeing her comfortably arrayed for battle. That being said, Luna glanced towards a rack set upon the wall, where mighty hammers rested, before returning her gaze to Rarity. What are your plans when Twilight Sparkle leaves Equestria? Pardon? Do you plan on accompanying her on her journey to other worlds, seeking out the remaining guardians? Rarity bowed her head and pawed at the ground anxiously. I hadn't thought that far ahead yet, Luna. Luna nodded her head. That is understandable, she stated. However, are there any of your friends that you know, right at this moment, that are seriously considering accompanying her? No pony has said anything, Rarity answered, but I am confident that Rainbow Dash will join her. The very words action, adventure, and adversity seem to be written into her soul. And she's also the bearer of the element of loyalty, Luna added with an additional nod of her head. Yes, Rainbow Dash would stand with Twilight Sparkle in her hour of need. She will need friends along the road destiny has set for her, and loyalty will help her stand strong. We should also craft something for Rainbow Dash as well. We should? Rarity asked, stepping closer to Luna as the Alicorn left the cavern's massive open space and began to traverse a smaller corridor, lit by the ambient light from the magma and torch-filled brackets. A set of armor for her, too? Nay, Luna answered. Our sister did not ask for it, nor did we acquire Rainbow Dash's measurements. I do have them memorized, Rarity offered proudly. Luna shook her head dismissively. That will not be necessary. For the element of loyalty, she who stands up to defy any oppressor and challenge those who threaten her friends, a weapon is required. I remember a few chapters ago and a few months ago you actually talked about something like this in the comments section.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so there's gonna be at least one pony who's living with them, and I need a weapon! Toss your ideas at me! Yeah, that's essentially what I did.
Yeah.
So I've actually got her entire, everything is planned out for Rainbow Dash, as far as weapon goes. So,
yeah.
Despite some of the comments about this one, and despite what Luna says up here, that's not it.
Yeah, Rainbow Dash isn't going to be the only one going with them, I bet.
Oh, no, it's not that. It's like, okay, tiny spoiler alert, Luna's going to make her a sword. That's not...
Yeah, it's going to be like a paragraph away.
Yeah, it's like, tiny spoiler, Luna makes her a sword. That's not the only weapon Dash is getting.
Yeah, I figured. Like,
whatever other weapon she's getting is a secret. I know what it is. Goldpen knows what it is. No pony else knows what it is.
Yeah. Like, I remember when I read that, it was actually after finishing the chapter that was in the comment section for, and I spent, 3 days just, coming up with ideas in my head, and then I realized you've probably already settled on something. So I just left those there. Okay. Luna turned sharply and entered an alcove that, to Rarity, seemed much more of a room than an alcove. More torch-filled brackets lit the room, and 4 long, black wooden tables were situated around the roughly circular space. Each had a thick scroll of parchment on them with charcoal markers close by. Hanging from the walls were drawings of different works of metalwork, their margins thick with the writing of details and intricacies about each piece. Rarity guessed with how yellowed the parchment had become that they had been projects of days of yore. You may take that table, Luna said, pointing to the one furthest from the entrance on the right. You may commence designing to your heart's content. Remember, Rarity, that we are designing armor and not a gown. It is meant to protect from harm as much as possible while still providing adequate movement and visibility. However, this armor for both Twilight Sparkle and Trixie Lulamoon is to be inspiring and intimidating at once. Friendly ponies are to feel heartened when seeing them within, and foes are to immediately tremble upon the sight of their arrival.
Although, really, it may not be so much the armor as the reputation that the one within the armor gains.
Yeah.
But it's like, you can see someone arrayed in, like, splendid golden armor and everything, and it's like, yeah! Or it's like, oh, a pretty...
Yeah.
Then you find out that this guy has won, like, 100 consecutive battles and has never lost, and then it's like...
Yeah.
Then no...
Okay, Pamela's back.
Okay, it may still be more reputation than actually what the armor looks like anyway, but who cares?
Yeah, but, like, the thing is, you see, a really well, designed armor, really threatening, and even if you don't know the reputation, you know this isn't anyone you want to mess with.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small horse.
Yeah. Small horse with flaming hair and blazing eyes and charcoal black armor.
Twilight Sparkle evolved into Rapidash.
Rapidash wearing black armor.
I kind of want to see that now.
Rapidash in black barding armor. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
With I'm trying to think of a good person to be riding on top of Rapidash. I want to say Ghost Rider.
Let's get back on topic now. Okay. I shall do my best, Luna, Rarity replied. She looked down at the table and was surprised to find a pair of red glasses.
Red glasses?
Yes, I know. I don't know why, but I feel like that mistake... Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I feel that might very well be the stupidest mistake I made, even though I know it isn't. Red glasses. Rarity scrutinized them for a moment before stifling her gasp. These weren't just any red spectacles. These were her glasses. Rarity glanced at Princess Luna. Could she have... Rarity thought. No, that's highly unlikely, but still. Yep. She expected her.
She went all the way to Ponyville, grabbed Rarity's glasses out of Carousel Boutique, flew back, and planted them.
Yeah, if the apron colored to Rarity's mane wasn't enough evidence, the glasses.
Well,
yeah.
It could just be that all the aprons that weren't Luna's were plum purple.
It's too much of a coincidence. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I purposely made it plum purple. I could have given her the powder blue one and be like, yeah, it's powder blue, matches her cutie mark. Or, it's green, matches what her mane had been at one point. Or, it's brown. There, you have a plain brown Smith's apron. Go.
Aren't you going to begin? Luna asked. Startled, Rarity answered, Of course, Luna. She levitated the glasses onto her nose and unrolled the parchment. Luna waited with a smile for the scritch-scratch sound of charcoal against parchment as she levitated her own black half-moon spectacles to her face and unfurled her own scroll. I see what you did there.
Yes, Luna and Rarity, same voice actress, they both get the same glasses.
No, I'm talking about the half-moon spectacles.
That too. Rarity's glasses are half-moon spectacles as well. I just thought, okay, so since she has her half-moon glasses and they're red, Luna's gonna get her own that are exactly the same except black.
Yeah, and then there's also the fact that they're half-moon spectacles and Luna's the moon.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's like, I see what you did there when it was just, I'm just copying Rarity's glasses. That's just what they happen to be.
Yeah.
That's a coincidence.
It's a very funny coincidence, though. Okay.
Familiar thing.
Yeah, I found it. Yeah, I found it. You always point it out pretty much the instant I find it. Yeah. A familiar tingle went down the back of her neck, and Luna felt a sudden tugging at her mane, still in its spun from an invisible wind for a moment before it faded. She turned her head towards the entrance to the room, and then glanced up at the ceiling. The mountain of rock above her was invisible to her eyes, seeing only the stars and moon for a long moment before returning her attention to the black parchment before her. Rarity's scribbling had intensified. Now, it is time to design a sword for Rainbow Dash, the likes of which has never been seen. Rarity's scribbling paused. Luna, are you sure that a common sword suits Rainbow Dash best? I would think that a lance, or possibly something that favors her athleticism, or heavens, utilized her wings would be preferable. Nay, Luna repeated. She must have a sword forged by my hammer, as has been agreed upon. The huntress requires the very finest of blades, if all others fail. The huntress? Rarity asked, curious. This final question received no answer. This is foreshadowing something, but I haven't figured out what.
That's because I haven't gotten to that part yet.
And I'm looking forward to it.
However, it is somewhat related to what happens in the next chapter that gets Rainbow Dash totally upset.
As in the one you're writing now? Or
as in the next chapter that we haven't gotten to yet for reading, in which something goes on around Sora and Kairi's wings. The whole the whole Huntress bit is somewhat related to that.
Mm-hmm. The Royal Sculpture Garden was calm and peaceful in the silvery light of Luna's night. The two Pegasi walked slowly side by side, their blue eyes sweeping over the various sculptures and the shadowed forms of the blooming flowers. The grass rustled in the wind and underneath their hooves, its crisp scent joining the others that the wind carried. That was close at supper, Kairi said softly, glancing at Sora. With Ray, I mean. He sighed. I know. It looks like they know a little bit about humans already, but how are they going to react when they find out that we eat things that are made of meat? He paused for a second and then smiled. Bacon. Oh, bacon. Kairi giggled and bumped into his shoulder. You're terrible, you know that? He glanced down at her and chuckled slightly. Hey, my family likes meat, he said. I know, replied Kairi softly. And you personally are big on fish, especially that grilled mackerel with lemon linguine you enjoy me making. Sora blushed a little, and recognized that he would have run a finger across his cheek if that had been a very viable action at the moment. Well, you are a great cook. You're much better than I am, anyway. Don't say that, Kairi returned. Cooking can be really fun. You just need a little practice, that's all. I burned water, Sora muttered in a stage whisper, his embarrassment thoroughly heating his cheeks. I really want to know how one manages that.
And little interjection point here, this is like a complete contrast from Sora in Annals of Darkness, in which, as an only child and with his mother, a single parent who's also head chef at a restaurant. In that version, Sora is a really great cook, and he plans on opening an inn. In here, he can't. He says here, I burned water. He can't cook worth a damn. It's like, okay, all fans of Shire folk, take the Sora that you knew who could cook up a mean anything. Bam! He can't cook. It's like, I just turned Sora on his head. Enjoy.
I like that little parallel. I didn't know about that. Also, I think that a big issue, sometimes funny, sometimes not, that appears in every human in Equestria fic or pony on Earth fic is the issue of meat consumption.
Yeah, it always has to show up. It's one of those things that can't be ignored. We eat meat.
Yeah, it's literally impossible to ignore it.
Food is brought up in food should be brought up in every multi-chapter fic, regardless.
Yeah.
Food should always be brought up. It's a talking point. It's a conversation point. It's food. Everyone eats.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I know, Kyrie replied softly. I already read that. I meant, for some reason I thought, hey, my family likes meat was I burned water. And, okay. Kyrie rubbed against him again, affectionately bringing her neck over his to get him to cease moving. And you got better, she reminded him. That tempura you made the other night was delicious. Kyrie, Sora droned playfully, a smile working its way onto his face despite her lie. She sighed. All right, it wasn't the best tempura I've ever had, but you've improved a lot since we started out. She laughed again and couldn't resist playfully adding, though when you start at burning water and only being able to use a toaster, anything remotely edible is a vast improvement. However, you're still leagues ahead of where Riku's at.
Riku still can't cook in Annals Darkness.
Yeah, I figured. Riku doesn't seem like the kind of character who would be able to cook.
Funnily enough, in Annals I've got him being a gardener.
Her quick save kept Sora from playfully ribbing at her, but that didn't stop him from chuckling and leaving her hug anyway. May the gods pity the girl that he winds up with, he declared, or bless her with fantastic cooking. Sora sat down and looked up at the night sky. Kyrie dropped down next to him and chose to lie on her belly instead. There were absolutely no clouds above, and the mantle of sable above was definitely more beautiful than any other he and Kyrie had spent time together gazing at. I wasn't even thinking about that sentence, and I read it properly.
Good.
That is a good thing. It means I'm getting out of my rut. They had no idea that it wasn't Luna who had crafted this sky, but her sister Celestia instead. Either way, the entire world seemed serene and at peace as they looked at the stars. Everyone was their charge, everyone a different world. And as far as they cared, Master Yen Sid could read...
You messed up
as
that.
Far as... Yeah, I got back into my rut. I got out and then I got back in immediately. It's like my vocabulary decided.
Got it.
You know what? It's not comfortable outside of the rut. I'm gonna climb back in now.
Oh, not your vocabulary. It's your reading of grammar.
Yeah.
It's like everyone was their charge. Everyone a different world, as far as they cared. That's how I was supposed to read. You're like, everyone a different world. Yeah, as far as they cared, Master Yen Sid can read.
The issue that I found was I said as. Like, let's just drop it. Let's just drop and continue.
Poke,
as far as
poke,
they cared.
Poke.
God damn it. Master Yen Sid could read the stars to discern events happening in the worlds at large, but it was a skill that he had yet to pass down to King Mickey or either of them. In a sense, Sora looked forward to that day, but a part of him was also quite scared. Gazing at the awe-inspiring breadth of the night sky made pride battle against humbled amazement. He was a Keyblade wielder. He and Riku both fully acknowledged Keyblade masters at that, and had sworn in his heart to protect and defend the light of the worlds. There were just so many of them that on some occasions the overwhelming vastness of the sky beat down his pride and humbled him to where he felt so very small and insignificant. How could one person protect all the hundreds of worlds out there? Kyrie stared next to him, sighing wistfully and breaking his inner thoughts. It's been a while since we've been able to enjoy a moment like this, she purred in contentment. Sora looked down at her and felt a warm grin emerge on his face. The weight of the world came off his shoulders when he gazed at her. It didn't matter that she was a pony at the moment. She was still Kyrie, a princess of heart, and the most important light he could think of, regardless of his ability to safeguard all the worlds. If he could keep this precious light safe, then that was more than enough for him. Shifting so that he was lying down with her, Sora lightly pecked her cheek with his lips, and sighed in blessed mimicry of her own contented sigh. Yes, it has. I guess we've had a bit more than our share of excitement recently. Kyrie leaned into him, humming in agreement. The moments passed by slowly, peacefully. Little disturbed their rhythmic breathing while both gazed up at the stars, perfectly content in the tranquil silence of the night. Nothing else that was going on at any place could have disrupted them. No worry came into either one's mind. Until Kyrie spoke, that is. Sora, I'm worried about Orville, she said suddenly, a tiny amount of panic gripping her voice. Startled a little, Sora looked at her in concern. About Orville? Why? What's wrong? What if something terrible... she asked. He's probably so lost and confused right now without me. He needs me, Sora. Sora smiled but withheld his laughter at his girlfriend's state. Kyrie, she began patiently, what if Midna eats him? And this is another thing that I like. You talk about this, like, you don't, explain everything beforehand. Like, you leave it for the viewer to find out themselves.
Like, what if Midna eats him? It's like all of a sudden, wait, Midna? What? Okay,
yeah.
We already talked about Zelda before, so it's like, wait, that Zelda with Midna? Yes!
Yeah.
Because I remember in this next chapter that, like, I got a comment where someone was like, Midna? Yes!
I read that comment. Yeah, like, when you told me before that it actually wasn't just, like, directly connected to Annals of Darkness, I was actually kind of glad, because...
I couldn't do it directly connected to Annals of Darkness, because then that's way, way, way too much stuff that they would have missed, because all of a sudden Sora's got an automail limb, and they're doing all this weird stuff, and there's some Digimon here.
There's Digimon in Annals of Darkness. That actually sounds pretty crazy.
Yeah, Sora and Kairi are original Digidestined, along with Tai and Kari and TK, Matt, and Sora, and... oh, yeah, there are two Soras. So, Sora Takanuchi is called Sora, and they just nicknamed Kingdom Hearts Sora Keys, because he's a Keyblade wielder. It's like, so his nickname is Keys. So Menomon, Kairi's partner Digimon, still calls him Keys. She doesn't call him Sora. She still calls him Keys.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have their own Digimon partners and they have their own crests. And at some point their Digimon will go to Mega, but right now they've both only gone to Ultimate. And I am totally planning on the whole Myotismon invades Tokyo and having Kairi lay the beat down on Myotismon.
I remember that.
It's gonna be epic. Anyway, yeah.
Better be.
Oh, it will be.
Better
epic.
be.
Oh, it will be epic. Like, Kairi is gonna be so pissed when Wizardmon bites it. She's gonna be like, okay, that does it. You're going down, Myotismon.
Oh, yeah. I loved Wizardmon. Wizardmon was good. Yeah.
Like, there
enough about that, though.
That's gonna make me sad.
Also, when I eventually get to reading Annals of Darkness, I'm going to hold you to all of the really amazing stuff that you have promised.
You'll have to get through it all first, before you can then hold me to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, this time you couldn't help but laugh, is where you're at.
Yeah. Kairi, by Poseidon's golden trident, Midna is not going to eat your cat. Gotta scroll down a bit. Nope, that's too far. How do you know that? Kairi retaliated. How do you know that weird Twilight imps don't eat cats? I swear I saw her lick her lips when she saw him. Midna licks her lips a lot in Twilight Princess. Subtle little thing, but she does.
I know.
Sora gave her nose a quick lick with his tongue, having roughly the same effect as slapping her in the face. Maybe she just thought he was adorable, he countered. Orville is too cute of a kitten. Heck, he's almost as cute as a Ray as a filly here. Besides, Riku spelled 2Ks. Yuna and Zelda are in love with Orville, in case you forgot. He's probably getting all the doting he needs. What if he yowls all night, keeping everyone up because he misses his mommy? Kairi answered, returning to the land of awareness. I'm sure he won't, Sora said playfully. He'll have Donald to harass after all. And that makes everything better. Kairi's worries seemed to fly away at the mention of the magician. Yes. And she let out a delightful little squeal of laughter. Capitalizing on it, Sora nudged her in the side with the elbow joint of his right foreleg, drawing a tiny giggle out of her. He nudged her again and again and again. Sora kept nudging and poking her until she was nothing but an unceasing fit of giggles. Sora, stop, she giggled, rolling over in an attempt to escape the onslaught. Not until you stop worrying, he answered, pouncing and planting his lips against her chest. He blew, and Kairi burst out laughing. Tears began to pour out of her eyes as her laughter overcame her, and Sora was finding it hard to concentrate when he started to laugh too. Kairi took the opportunity and ran with it, managing to twist away from Sora's mouth and hooves and escape. She playfully cantered away from him, sticking out her tongue and laughing. Sora gave chase, laughing the whole while. She stayed ahead of him, just far enough out of his reach to keep him missing his nips at her tail. Not that he was trying his hardest to catch her anyway. Kairi circled around a statue that stood away from the others in a secluded section of the sculpture garden, giggling while Sora followed and circled after her. He made sure to stay just slow enough so that she could continue to outpace him until he made an about turn. Kairi's eyes loomed in front of him, the Pegasus smiling tenderly at him. He kissed her impulsively, warmth blossoming inside of his chest and his heartbeat quickening. Breaking the kiss somewhere between an instant and an hour, the human-turned ponies nuzzled noses before rubbing their necks together. Kairi sighed. I wish things could stay like this forever, she whispered. But the Blue Council won't have that. Are you still thinking about that? Sora asked quietly, moving to sit down while facing his girlfriend. Kairi just smiled and nodded, sitting down across from him. There, got it right. We both know what's going to happen, she answered. Radiant Garden will make me queen. That's unavoidable. So I might as well accept it and go along with it. You've decided, then? Sora asked quietly. Kairi sighed, and he wasn't sure whether it was in resignation or not. I have decided, she said, her voice soft and caring, certainly not resigned. I have decided that if they want me to be their queen, then they will have to accept that I will require a competent steward in position for when my husband and I leave to perform Keyblade business or on a getaway with our 3 children. Sora laughed in his throat. You've planned us out that far, eh? Kairi leaned into him, whispering softly, I've been dreaming of us since the moment I gave you my charm in Traverse Town. So, what have you dreamed up for us? Kairi hummed a little. Well, she began, we'll live in the big castle, and we'll have summer homes on Destiny Islands and a few of our favorite worlds. We'll have 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, though I haven't come up with names yet. Whoa, only 1 son? Sora said incredulously. I'm not having only 1 son, even if I do get 2 gorgeous baby princesses. They say this as if you can choose the gender of your children. But I think that's the way all women are. It seems to me.
If they want to have 3 kids, they want 2 girls and a boy, and the boyfriend or the husband is always like, "Well, I'm not only having 1 son and 2 girls."
Yeah, and like my girlfriend wants them to be twins.
Good luck on making twins. I am a twin. Good luck.
Yeah, and she's going to be watching this. And she's going to be watching this too. Hi, Amy.
You need to have a certain type of ovulation in order to have fraternal twins. or you're getting identical ones, or you're just getting one. If twins are in your family, there's a better chance you could have twins. If twins aren't, cross your fingers a dozen times.
Yeah, my mother is an identical twin.
Okay, that might help. Oh, no, wait. That may not help because it's your mother and it has nothing to do with her ovulation. Sorry, Amy, we're talking about this online.
I might just cut this out and make it a blooper.
Blooper reel. Talking about ovulation.
Well, before we were talking about estrus. Last chapter.
For mine.
Yeah. Okay.
Feel free to sit in with us, Amy, and stop us if we ever do stuff like this again.
Yeah. Well, I'm not having only one girl, Kyrie retorted. I feel as though our family will need more estrogen in the house than testosterone. That's probably a safe assumption. I'm not saying that you need to give up a daughter for a second son, replied Sora. I'll gladly have 5 daughters and beat the skulls in of 5 would-be suitors, each so long as we have at least 2 boys. Done, Kyrie agreed brightly, suddenly making Sora aware of what he just agreed to. We'll have 7 children, 5 girls and 2 boys. Oh, think of what the papers will say. Who cares what the papers say? Sora rhetorically asked quickly. They'll adore them. A big royal family after the way things went when Maleficent took over. Nothing would make Radiant Garden happier. He kissed her cheek. And nothing would make you happier than to have them. You love kids. You have to consider the actual process of birthing them, though. I'm sure that's going to get annoying
that's
after
not in their heads yet.
She sighed in agreement, and then nuzzled her cheek against Sora's. He relished in the quiet for a moment, though his mind quickly went back to what they had just discussed.
You just agreed to having 5 daughters, buddy.
Roxas irately commented.
We're going to be surrounded by pink and yellow dresses, tea parties with stuffed animals, dolls, and playing dress-up for 15 years. Bozo! Why did you do this?
And he just threw in that last bit.
Ad-lib. It's great.
Yeah, ad-lib. I'm not good at ad-lib. As evidenced.
I'm the writer. I can ad-lib what I
want. Yeah. Nuts to that, Sora retorted. I'm surrounding them with swords, bows, chocobos, horses, forges, and spellbooks, so that won't necessarily happen. I'll spar with my daughters and sons every day if that's what they want.
And some commenter said, I totally agree with Sora's parenting methods. Clapping man.
Amen.
Clapping man.
Yes. So what do you think of this world? Carrie asked softly, breaking his train of thought. Honest opinion. Oh, it's a bit too cute, but the locals appear to be very friendly and, well, normal, despite all of them being candy-colored ponies, he answered. Sora chuckled. It's awesome, but it just also seems so wrong, because somebody changed the rules of how the world works. Well, who says that this is the world that has the rules changed? I agree a bit, Kyrie said. A weather factory? So they make all of the weather for Equestria and places like the Everfree Forest where the weather occurs naturally are mysterious and spooky? I suppose I could live with it, though, even if I have to laugh at them for being afraid of clouds moving by themselves. I kind of want to see how they react to the clouds moving by themselves.
They will.
After they leave the Equestria.
They will.
They better.
Everyone's gonna freak.
Yeah. And I'm going to guess that they are not going to be ponies outside of Equestria.
You will guess correctly.
Yeah. Because, if they turn into ponies for being in Equestria, then it's it should be that they turn into humans when they go into a world occupied by humans.
Yeah.
And
funny stuff's gonna happen when the ponies change into humans. Just Twilight and Chicks are gonna keep their horns. Rainbow's gonna keep her wings.
Okay, I was about to say Rainbow Dash without her wings. That'd be a bit of a crime.
That would be a crime. So Rainbow Dash keeps her wings. Twilight and Trix keep their horns. So they're horned and winged humans, but whatever.
That's gonna look so weird though. Yeah. The horns.
Whatever. Funny stuff's gonna happen.
Mhm. Okay.
Summer home material.
Yeah. Summer home material, Sora asked. It's on the maybe list, Carrie answered with a small smile.
Aw, now that's really too bad. And here I was, hoping it would be on your short list.
You had to know that Discord was going to show up, and I don't even have to say that this is Discord. They should be able to guess. Sora rose up to his hind legs in an instant, wings snapping out to try and give him balance, while his keyblade appeared in his hooves in a flash of light. Kairi mimicked his position, both Pegasi standing back to back, faces set and ready for a confrontation. You heard that too? Kairi asked. Yeah, answered Sora. Sure didn't sound like it was Roxas talking in my head.
Oh, you have voices in your head, do you? Well, we'll get along famously then.
You should have known Discord was going to show up the moment they said Statue Garden. The moment the Statue Garden was mentioned, everyone should have realized, yeah, Discord's going to show up in this chapter. Who are you? Sora asked, his eyes sweeping the area in front of him. Nothing was moving in the trees at the edge of the secluded alcove he and his girlfriend were in, and there was no sign of any creature around.
Who am I? Oh dear, what has Celestia been doing to those history books? Shouldn't every pony know who I am by now?
Enough talk, Kairi said. Where are you? Sora felt the hairs on the edge of his mane rise as the voice chuckled.
Where, you ask? All right, I'll tell you. I'm right beside you. Of course, you would have known that if you weren't too busy having your little lovey-dovey moment.
I love Discord. Who doesn't love Discord?
I don't see any hands raised.
Yeah. Sora jumped to the side and turned around, struggling to maintain balance on his back legs. He adjusted his wings futilely and dropped down on his 3 legs while still barely maintaining his grip on the Oblivion. He swept it up to the point straight at the figure who had been speaking, and restrained his jaw from dropping in surprise. There. Got it right. The voice had been entering his and Kairi's heads was coming from a statue of a creature whose eyes were wide open in disbelieving horror. What's more, he knew he'd seen a relief of the same statue before, though it was in a different pose. You're Discord, he gasped. Discord chuckled.
Smart boy, you have heard of me, though I guess that sort of thing happens when you hang around Twilight Sparkle and those other elements of harmony. Now, I have a proposal for you.
Forget it, Kairi snapped. We've heard all about you and what you did to Equestria. You turned this world on its head, like we'd ever do anything you asked us to.
Oh, a feisty one, are you? Is that what your heart is telling you? Not to help a poor, trapped soul that was unjustly imprisoned by your so-called friends?
If you're trying to get us to help you escape, you're sweet out of luck, Kairi retorted, with a shake of her head. Discord startled them both when he began to laugh exuberantly.
Escape? Now, why would I ever bother with trying to escape so soon after being turned to stone again? If I were to break out of here and have a little fun, wreak some chaos here and there, turn Celestia's statue into a chicken with a bunny's head, maybe, Twilight Sparkle and her friends would just hit me with that rainbow of friendship from their elements of harmony and turn me back into stone.
So, Sora asked warily, what do you want? Discord's reply was pleasant enough.
I just want to talk to some pony else who feels this world is a little too structured for their tastes.
You know, I actually kind of have to agree with Discord a little bit on this. Equestria is a bit too structured.
We're used to not having a world that's this structured. It is a bit too structured.
Yeah. Harry glanced at Sora in concern, and he had to agree. An imprisoned spirit of chaos and disharmony simply wanted to talk? How did that make any sense?
How is it supposed to make sense?
Discord is a spirit of chaos. He doesn't need to make sense.
Exactly.
Because chaos is exactly that. Not making sense.
Exactly.
But, Kyrie began cautiously, though with a small amount of interest, why would you want to talk to us? It doesn't make sense to me that all you want is to talk instead of come up with elaborate plans for your eventual escape and revenge. His answering tone more than showed how unimpressed the Draconicus was with his current predicament.
Have you any idea how utterly boring it is to be turned to stone? I stand here all day and night long in this secluded part of Celestia's little collection of sculptures as the only one who's actually alive. No pony comes to pay me a visit besides the foals and teenagers who come by with ended wonderful memories. They call them nightmares, of course. I don't know what they're talking about. When I was briefly back in charge, I'm confident that the birds were told they could use my head as their own outhouse all they wanted, and the custodial staff in their garish uniforms never stick around for any longer than the time it takes to clean the feces off. I still think that they look better in that polka dot outfit I designed.
Oh, I love Discord. Sora quickly brought a hoof to his mouth, but he was still too late to stop the snort of laughter from getting past his lips. He got the impression that Discord's mood seemed to lighten, and Kyrie gave Sora a quizzical look. Sora shrugged and dismissed the oblivion from his hoof. Well, if he just wants to talk, he said, sitting down.
Excellent!
Discord giggled.
Have I ever told you about the time I entertained a group of unicorns by pulling the gorilla out of a hat and having it tap dance?
That's a great way to end the chapter.
Yeah, and now I need to take a bio break.
Yes. So, this has been Chapter 10. Course is laid. Or no, Evening Discourse. Last chapter's Course is laid. What am I saying? Okay. So, I've been Feluca, and that was Shire Folk. I don't think he's here right now. Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, see you next time.